Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now I'm sure a lot of you already have seen all sorts of videos and streams around the YouTube from many different content creators in regards of Battle Realm, from those who were, fortunate enough to get tested already. Rest of us will have to wait till April, but that is fine. So even though I was not able to play the game mode myself, I did spend quite a lot of time checking out the videos and streams and talking to people what they currently think. And we are going to break it down. What do I think about the game mode? All the good, all the positives, and obviously some things that I desperately hope will be changed by the time the game mode goes live. So first and foremost, I'm still very excited. The game mode does look interesting, fun, engaging, and perhaps most importantly, it has avoided the incursion problem, where it's a very kind of time-consuming thing. It seemed like snappy. You can play through the match in sometimes even like, I don't know, under 5-10 minutes if you 2-0 somebody fairly quickly. But it is quick. There is not too much of the load times and stuff like that, and you're forced to have these choices within like 10 seconds. There are a couple of screens I wish they would give you slightly more, so you can strategize a bit. Perhaps the initial defender selection pick, because, first one is the hardest one. When all the options are available for both players, it's kind of hardest to figure out your strategy. So perhaps there could be a slight increase in the time allocated to you to make a decision what to place on defense and place on offense, stuff like that. At the same time, most of the mechanics there seem to be fun, cool. Now, I'm not going to comment on each individual nodes, because that is kind of going to be the theme of each and every different season, which is going to make some champions better, some champions worse, and that's going to affect how the game meta is shifted. And actually, one of the most exciting things is, I think this will be great for people to open up their roster diversity, to do perhaps slightly more unusual rank ups. And then when you rank up that champion, perhaps because you wanted and you thought that it is going to be good in the Battlegrounds, then, you still have the champion ranked up afterwards and for different game modes, and you're going to learn to appreciate those champions more. And I do think that in MCOC, we do have a very solid contingent of 30 to 40 champions that are good and just quite on the grasp of being like very popular, whether that be, I don't know, Gambit or Annihilus could see more potential offensive use, or Spider-Gwen, I'm sure will be like more used, and perhaps this is going to lead to more popularity for Vision, Age of Ultron, and plenty of different champions that will primarily be looked at because of this solo game mode. And then also, obviously, since these champions will end up being ranked up, people are going to use them for Alliance Quest, Alliance Wars more, and many different game modes. And we do have quite a lot of those champions that you always look at and you can, I'd like to rank it up, but no. And I know for a fact one of those champions for me is like Spider-Gwen, for instance, that I have been wanting to rank up for ages, but I haven't yet. And perhaps Yellow Jacket, I actually quite like his rework. I think it's quite underrated. And a bunch of other champions that I will probably end up ranking for these game modes specifically at some point in time, based on what kind of nodes we're going to be facing up against. All that being said, there are still obviously several unknowns, first and foremost, and perhaps the most important thing is the rewards. If the game mode is going to be worth playing. So one of the reasons, alongside the first one, which I mentioned about incursions, is why incursions is such a, useless game mode that people kind of do when they don't have many better things to do, or occasionally for fun. But it's not a mainstream kind of like mainstay in Marvel Coins of Champions. It's definitely not one of the core game modes, because the rewards are not good enough. You cannot justify spending 3 hours in incursions, earning whatever you earn from there, especially given how little artifacts are worth, and that you can only get some 5-star crystals or 2,000 6-star shards for like several sessions worth of incursions, if you could spend that time clearing content or doing arena. So the rewards definitely have to be competitive. They have to be good. Otherwise, no matter how interesting the game is going to be, it's just never going to do as well as it could have if there was actual good reason to play the game mode. So that is unknown, obviously, but, it can't be weak. it really cannot be weak. It's going to be a very huge part of how well this game mode actually lands in the game. Right, all the good and awesome things kind of put aside, there are 3 different issues that I am quite concerned about, and I understand why Kabam put it in. I don't necessarily like or support it, but there is logic behind them. Well, the first one is the 30 energy cost. I think is way too high. I think that means 1 full energy refill, you can only do 2 matches. And again, if the rewards are worth it, for instance, even if you win 1 out of those 2 matches, you earn 30 units back and then can buy an energy refill, you know, it's all good. But I doubt that there's actually going to be units or energy refills in the rewards for winning these matches. And not knowing whether the rewards will have anything to do with the energy refill or units themselves, 30 energy seems way too high. I think about 15, 20 maybe. 15 probably seems a bit more realistic. But 30 energy cost, or I don't even understand why necessarily have the energy cost on the game mode at all. But hey, you know, that's me. It's just another way for Kabam to siphon some units of our accounts. I really don't like the 30 energy cost. I do hope it's changed. The second thing is also, on top of the 30 energy cost, there is a refresh on your champions. So each champion, I don't know exactly how long the refresh timer is, whether it is 24 hours or 48 hours, or it is same as an arena, 11 hours. But in either case, there is a refresh to where you can use each champion only 3 times, and then you either need to spend 10 units refreshing it, or you need to replace that champion in your deck. And that also seems way too steep and way too punishing for players with smaller accounts. You know, the whaliest of the whales who have 70, 80, and 90 rank 3 6-stars at this point, you know, they're not going to care. They're going to be able to replace some of the champions, and they're going to be able to play significantly longer with a lot less issues than the people who have smaller accounts. That's one thing. And second thing is, you know, those 10 units will add up very quickly if you kind of have a couple of hour time to kind of have a longer session in the Battlegrounds, which is something you're going to be unable to do. And there is actual solution for that does not necessarily require anybody to spend any units or energy refills, and that is just put on daily limit on competitive matches that you can do. And then if you want to do more than that daily limit, then perhaps you just buy like a ticket with either energy or units or something like that. And yeah, I think that would kind of put away most of those problems very easily and very straightforward when you say everybody can have maximum of 10 matches a day. If you want to play past that, I don't know, spend 100 units for another 10 or something like that. Or whatever numbers they come up with, I'm not entirely sure. But having refresh and only 3 kind of like energies each champion that has, so you have to refresh a champion after 3 uses, it does seem quite steep. And the last point that just seems completely unnecessary, and also just another one of these cheeky methods how to siphon units out of your account, is that you can re-roll once in your drafting phase for 15 units. So there's a limit to that already, and you have to pay 15 units to re-roll it. And it's not unlike incursions. In incursions, you can also re-roll your hacks, which is, again, something that pretty much nobody ever wants to do, because why would you want to spend units to play the game, you know, and use the game as functions? So that function, I think, kind of either needs to be taken away, or just make it once free for everybody, so you can once re-roll, but take units out of it. This entire idea where there's going to be a new game mode in the game, but rather than necessarily focusing on earning units and earning items in the game mode, you're kind of being siphoned your energy and your units out of your account just by trying to play the new game mode. It does quite seem fairly counterproductive. And I understand that they can't monetize that game mode with you know, health potions and revives, because, you know, that doesn't exist in that game mode. But at the same time, we all know that Battlegrounds is going to be home to Gears. We all know that the Battlegrounds is going to be where the strikers appear at first and all that other stuff. So I have zero doubt that Kabam has and will have plenty of ability to monetize the game mode along the way, unfortunately. Also, Battlegrounds by its own nature is a game mode that encourages spending via increasing the necessity for roster diversity. It is a game mode that, as I mentioned initially, will have a very significant impact on rosters and rank up decisions, and people will be much more eager to acquire and, you know, fight for and earn, and also obviously buy offers for rank up materials, sig stones, or champion crystals, just to kind of have this battle deck more powerful, because that's going to be one of the bigger issues. A lot of people will need to work on their decks, on their accounts, and I think even if Battlegrounds wouldn't be directly monetized, it is still a game mode that will easily get back everything that was invested in it, even if it's indirectly by increasing the offer purchases, by increasing, you know, the resource use or the game activity, by giving another life to the game. And these small 15, 10 unit costs and 30 energy refills to pay to fight it, it just kind of seems, again, a bit too greedy, a bit too much, a bit too creeping in on everything else. And I understand that Kabam has to ensure that, you know, there is some sort of a balance in between people who are able to play hours on end this game pretty much endlessly, and people who have more active personal lives and will simply not be able to, you know, dedicate 3, 4, 5 hours a day or whatever playing Battlegrounds if they choose to. And there has to be some sort of limit where you can't just sit down and play it hours on end. But it has to also be way more lenient, to a point where you don't discourage people to play the game mode. It's quite simple as that. You want the people to play the game mode and enjoy it as much as you can. You don't want to microdose it to, like, I don't know, 2 duels or 2 matches a day to each player, you know? You do want to encourage the people who are most willing to push it to be able to do so. And as far as I have heard, that's pretty much all of the main feedback all of the CCP folks are giving to Kabam as well, in one shape or form or another, speaking exactly about these mini unit costs, about 15 units to reroll, only having 3 energies on a champion. Why not up it up to 5 if you have to? Or get rid of the refresh cost, or half it, or something like that. So I'm sure there is a plan behind all of it. I'm just very concerned that they're pushing it too much, to a point where, again, you have to pay a toll to play a new game mode, which is opposite of what I think Kabam should want. They should want to encourage as many people in there. But obviously, everything is still in very early beta stages. There are still tons of changes, hopefully, coming to the game mode. And still, I couldn't be more excited, so to speak. This is pretty much exactly what MCOC needs, in my opinion. My only kind of disappointment here is that, you know, it's still such a long time. I kind of wish that the public beta was in March and the actual release was in April or something like that. But I definitely want that game mode to be here as soon as possible, with some kinks worked out. Let me know what you guys think about Battlegrounds so far, everything you have seen, everything you have experienced. Which champions do you think will be amazing? But again, that highly depends on what nodes will be put on. But either way, let me know what you guys think, and I'm going to catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about